An epic wild journey awaits for us. Robinson Crusoe has left his comfortable life in Brazil, chasing the thrill of the sea. But his journey leads to a wild island when a violent storm destroys his ship, and surviving there won't be easy. Robinson, all alone with nothing but his wits, sets out to conquer the wild, facing savage beasts, brutal weather, and the shadows of his own fears. He'll need every ounce of courage and toughness to make it. Will he tame the wild island and find a way home, or will its challenges be too much? Stay tuned till the end to find out. Let's get started. I woke to the warmth of sunlight spilling across my face, a sharp change from the cold, soaking night I'd barely survived. The storm that had torn through for days, hurling our ship around like a child's plaything, was finally gone. The air hung still and heavy, the only sound the soft, rhythmic lapping of waves against the shore. I blinked against the brightness, my eyes gritty with salt and sand, and pushed myself up. My body groaned, every muscle stiff from a night sprawled on the hard beach. That's when I saw it, the ship. The tide had rolled in during the night, lifting it from where it had smashed into the rocks. Now it sat closer, maybe a mile off, its broken frame cutting a jagged line against the endless blue horizon. It stood there, battered but proud, like it was calling me back. My pulse quickened. If I could reach it, I might find food, tools, something to cling to in this empty, lonely place. I slid down from the gnarled tree where I'd wedged myself to sleep, my legs unsteady but my mind buzzing with possibility. Scanning the shore, I spotted my small boat, flung up on the sand about 2 miles down the coast. I started toward it, the hot grains burning under my bare feet. But then I froze. A wide channel of water, half a mile across, glimmered between me and the boat, its surface deceptively calm. I kicked the sand in frustration. Swimming that far wasn't an option. I was too weak, too drained. I turned back, my gaze locking on the ship again. That was my lifeline now. I just had to figure out how to get there. By midday, the sea had settled into a glassy sheen, and the tide had ebbed, pulling the ship even closer, maybe a quarter of a mile from shore. I stood there staring at its tilted deck when a wave of grief crashed over me. My crew, my friends, flooded my mind. John, with his deep, rumbling laugh that could lighten even the darkest watches. Sarah, barely 20, who'd chatter endlessly about the ports she'd see one day. We'd been a family, stitched together by months at sea. If we'd stayed on board instead of scrambling for the boats, maybe they'd still be alive. Guilt twisted in my gut, sharp and cold, but I shook it off. Dwelling wouldn't bring them back. It'd only sink me deeper. The sun blazed overhead, scorching my shoulders until I felt my skin crisp. I stripped off my sodden shirt and heavy pants, leaving just my thin trousers, and waded into the water. The coolness shocked my senses awake, and I swam toward the ship, stroke after stroke, driven by a flicker of hope. Reaching the ship was one thing. Climbing aboard was another. Its hull loomed over me, slick with algae and towering high above the waves. My arms burned as I circled it once, then twice, searching for a foothold. My breath came in ragged gasps, the salt water stinging my eyes. Just when I thought I'd have to turn back, I spotted it, a frayed rope swaying low from the bow. I lunged for it, my fingers slipping on the wet fibers, and hauled myself up inch by painful inch. My muscles screamed, but I kept going until I spilled over the rail and collapsed onto the deck, chest heaving, alive. The ship groaned under my weight, a hollow creak echoing through its bones. Water sloshed somewhere below, pooling in the flooded hold. The storm had left its mark, gaping holes in the hull, splintered beams, but patches of the deck were still dry. I staggered to my feet and made straight for the bread room, my stomach clawing with hunger. There, miracle of miracles, sat a stash of biscuits, untouched by the sea. I crammed my pockets full, chewing as I went, the dry crumbs clinging to my sweaty hands. In the captain's cabin, I found a bottle of rum tucked in a corner. I took a long pull, the fire racing down my throat, jolting me alert. Food was a start, but I needed more. Tools, supplies, anything to make this nightmare bearable. The catch? I had no boat to haul it back. I'd have to build something. I couldn't sit still. The urgency gnawed at me. Scattered across the deck were bits of spare wood, long poles, a cracked topmast, a handful of planks. The topmast was solid, thick enough to anchor a raft. I dragged them to the ship's edge, my arms trembling with the effort, and eased them into the water, tying ropes to keep them from floating off. With a rusty hatchet from the carpenter's chest, I hacked the pieces into shape, then lashed 4 big chunks together. I stepped onto the makeshift raft, testing it. It wobbled, too unsteady. Grabbing a saw, I cut the topmast into smaller blocks and wedged them in for balance. Sweat streamed down my face, blurring my vision, but I didn't stop. If this worked, I'd have a chance, a real chance. I piled my haul onto the raft, 3 chests bursting with bread, rice, cheese, and strips of dried goat meat, a carpenter's desk stuffed with hammers, nails, and a saw, and a few bottles of liquor I wedged in tight. The tide was rising now, and I cursed as I saw my clothes, left on the beach, swirl away in the current. No time to mourn them. I shoved the raft off the ship's side and climbed aboard, holding my breath as it dipped under my weight. It held, sluggish but steady. Halfway to shore, a wave slammed into us, tilting the raft hard. A chest skidded toward the edge. I threw myself after it, snagging it just before it tipped into the sea, my heart hammering. After an eternity, I guided the raft into a narrow river mouth, the current tugging me toward a sandy cove. I leapt off, legs shaky as a newborn colt's, and hauled the raft ashore. Collapsing onto the sand, I let a grin break across my face. I'd done it. Against all odds, I'd survived. It wasn't much, but it was a win. That night, I stacked my goods around me and rigged a rough shelter from the chests and planks. Darkness swallowed the island, thick and pressing, and I strained my ears for any sound, growls, rustling, anything alive. Nothing came. Just me, the waves, and the vast, empty quiet. At dawn, I climbed a low hill, my hands scratched by thorns, and looked out. The truth hit like a fist. An island, small and wild, ringed by endless ocean. No ships, no smoke, no rescue. My chest tightened, panic clawing up my throat, but I forced it down. I had food, tools, a start. Back home, I'd been the fixer, the one who patched leaks, mended nets, solved problems. My father used to clap me on the shoulder and say I had a gift for it. Now that gift was my lifeline. Maybe, just maybe, I could make it through this too. Robinson's journey is just about to get harder. He would face things that he never had imagined. You can't even think what's coming for him. If you want to know what happens next, just click on the next video, and I will see you there. Bye-bye.